different goals. It's interesting because if you compare Carlson to 32 total points, and while it may be true that his career high in points was only 59, it's not like he was contending for the Ross. He's tall. Not really big, not really heavy, but he could still take the punishment and score as many net front goals as possible. And the role that Tomas Holmstrom had was so unique that it was like the
where the fuck is
that just really going to back in that.
Oh shit, he's injured, that's why.
Up to the goalie. Move the puck around, and when it would get sent towards the goal, Holmstrom would be there. But again, he wasn't a top guy at the team, but he was a well-beloved and well-respected player who was amazing at that one quality of the game. Rick Toppin bringing up Holmstrom's name in the Linus Carlson conversation multiple times over the year is definitely going in terms of minutes. Honestly, I listened to this on the post-game show on Sports 650 after the game last night, but Seth and Randy Janda were talking about, oh man, now we're going to have these comparisons made. Rick Toppin, why did you just not have set like Alex Chason or somebody as a comparing player for Linus Carlson? Why do you have to say a 4-time Stanley Cup champion in Tomas Holmstrom? But, of course, Linus Carlson ends up getting 500 NHL points in 1,000 games as a net friend. But far enough, you'll remember that the Canucks traded Alexander Burrows to meet Jonathan Dorian from Ottawa. So, Alex Burrows turned into Jonathan Dorian, and then Dorian turned into Linus Carlson. This is literally like Burrows 2.0, if you want to say that. Although Burrows did have speed and a shot, and he did have a lot more instinctual goal scorers presence with the same. So it was a little bit different than just being the next guy like a Chason or a Holmstrom. But either way, watching the video about this commentary topic, because I did find it so interesting for Topic to mention it last night on the post-game presser. I want you to know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a Red Wings fan, is it disrespectful to the good old Tomas Holmstrom to see young, Swedish NHL caliber guys making their way to the NHL and being told that Holmstrom is the goal? Do you think it's an attainable goal? Canucks fans, what do you think about Linus Carlson, the way he's played so far, and whether you think he can hit a Holmstrom ceiling? I think it's realistically impossible, but hey, if he does do it, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this Legend Trolls 99 and 5. It's nice to see it's a founding partner of the Toronto because we Alright, so 2 big Red Wings stories in a row on back-to-back days. How great is that? Yesterday, the Detroit Red Wings ended up smoking the heck out of the Dallas Stars, the 2 D teams going at it. Big 6-4 victory, lots of points out of some of the better Red Wings guys. Mo Seider has been smoking me this week because of his point production. Cooper Freeman as well. But ultimately, this is not the only piece of news we can dive into when it comes to the Wings, especially today. Because early this morning, we saw ourselves a post made on Instagram by one Axel Sandin Pelican saying goodbye to Skellefteå AIK. This year, they did not end up doing the same. This year, they got eliminated by Brainwash. And we followed that up by talking about Axel Sandin Pelican, one of the best defensemen in the entire league, and one of the best younger defenseman prospects in the NHL today. We spoke about his interview and how he was talking to the media after Skellefteå got eliminated, and we talked about how he was definitely emotional. He was kind of tearing up at times, and he was very sad that they ended up losing. So, Axel Sandin Pelican is a big team player, especially with the win last year. There were a lot of expectations for Skellefteå heading into this year, But in an equally emotional Instagram post, ASP does go out there and say, thank you, 6 straight years for lefty, and you guys are awesome, man. It's a compilation of 6 straight months with the team. However, that was about 12 hours ago. And now we have ourselves some actual news in regards to what the plan is. Take a look at this. It was posted by the Detroit Red Wings on Twitter. The Wings have re-signed Michael Brandsett, Newgard, and Axel Sandin Pavica from Skellefteå to the AHL's Grand Rapids Griffins. Hell yeah, folks. They are coming over to North America. They have officially been reassigned. And you might have to remember this. Both of these guys were under contract already. The only reason they were playing for the SHL but still left the AIK is because they were there on loan. And they have their contracts already put in place. There doesn't seem to be any work permit, visa complications that need to be worked out. And the only reason I mentioned that is because work permits and visas have been kind of a hot topic in the NHL the past few days between Ivan Demidov and he's been giving Garrison and Russia and then needing the necessary paperwork to come over to North America. Actually, Sandy Pelican and Michael Branson do not have that issue because they were already signed by Detroit. They most likely already had those issues figured out, and they'll now be on their way to the Grand Rapids Griffins. Now, I get it and ask, hey, why are they going to the NHL? There are 2 reference games left. The Wings have no reason to go out there and try to give any of their guys a hard time, so why not bring, at the very least, Axel Sandin Pelica to Detroit and give them a little bit of a cup of coffee before going fully down there to the AHL. And if I had to try to fill in the blanks, the Griffins are in a playoff spot right now. They're doing very well in the AHL. So my guess is it's a lot more of a familiarity thing. Don't try to mess with the minds of these young prospects too much. Just give them a room in the AHL. Let the Griffins head into the postseason. Have them finish out the regular season with that team. So they're familiar enough with it, and then they can just try to play their hockey in the AHL playoffs. No need to bring them to Detroit, have them get adjusted to a system and have 2 games played that system, and then get sent down and have them play a different system entirely. Why not give them just a full dedicated time to work the AHL system and go from there? It's not even guaranteed that Axel Sandin Pelica is a Detroit Red Wing next season anyway. I think it's probably likely that it is, but it's not guaranteed, so just give them a little bit more of a transition period in the AHL. Michael Brandsett Newgard is definitely not going to be a Red Wing next year. Bearing an extremely impressive summer and preseason upcoming in 2025, but still, it's probably more likely that he spends another year developing before he may still come to Detroit full time. He could be the new team with some replacement if you want to do that. You know, but Brandsett Newgard's a winner. It's a little bit different. Anyways, let's talk about what these guys were able to accomplish in 2024-2025. Still left the AIK season. Axel Sandin Pelica, as we've been talking about all year.
What's really just the uniformity, they get back to you. So I'll put it forward, because we're going to sit down. The insights and finesse powered by the platform that understands the leaders better than anyone else. LinkedIn Learning makes it possible.
It was just a total stud. Between his time at the World Juniors and his time with the regular team, he was so good, scoring a hat-trick in, I think it was the first game for Team Sweden at the World Juniors, and then he also had 29 points in 46 SHL games, 8 points in 11 playoff games. So ASP definitely came alive, producing at a higher point production rate. Same thing could be said about Michael Brandsett Newgard. He had 11 points in 42 regular season games, but he had 6 points in 11 playoff games. So MSU was also experiencing a big bump of point production in this short playoff run that they had. And I'm not going to come to any immediate conclusions that says, oh, Brandsett Newgard is all of a sudden going to be a super high productive point producer. Realistically, we haven't seen him produce too many points since his days in the junior leagues, which is not a bad thing. The fact that he's playing all Svensson hockey and SHL hockey heading into the draft and after the draft. That's a good thing for a 17 and 18-year-old guy. It's just, like the rest of Newgard and the value that he brings is a lot more than just being able to just as a winger instead of a center. So, the one production, we'll see whether or not that translates into the SHL, or the AHL, excuse me. For Axel Sandin-Pellikka, I'd say it's probably more likely, considering just how dominant he is offensively, the way he's able to control the line, how he's able to spin away from guys, he reads off of his teammates and his opponents, exploiting space, throwing the puck into open areas, and just shooting us on goal like a laser. Axel Sandin-Pellikka is a total stud. And having this guy on a more confined ice surface in North America, I think can only help the way he's able to create things in the ozone. I don't say this often, but I do think that ASP falls more in that territorial, only he is Lane Hudson mold than some of the other prospects we have seen in the NHL. That's just kind of my read based off of watching ASP the past few years. But hey, we'll see it in Grand Rapids now. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this official news coming out of the Detroit Red Wings. NSB and ASP are both heading over to the European American Hockey League. What are your thoughts on them getting sent down to the AHL instead of the NHL? Is this preferred? Would you have wanted to see them play NHL games instead? Are you thinking about any of the contract stuff? I'm not too sure about burning the years on the ELCs at the Hey, what do you say? Of course we gotta go out there and make a video about this particular topic. Because we're diving into the Vancouver Canucks and some bigger, bolder, better, trade ideas. Now, this isn't necessarily new. We did talk about this in multiple videos in the past. But because it was written about and published on Canucks Army by Stephen Roger, I wanted to go out there and dive into this idea. Here it is, the link in the description to all of y'all's viewing and recent pleasure. Off-season dreaming. Because Monty Barzal be the perfect center trade target for the Vancouver Canucks. And it's interesting because this article was posted onto Twitter, as most Canucks Army pieces are, and one of the main replies that I saw on the tweet itself, not in the article, but the tweet, was, can Matthew Barzal even play center? I mean, yeah, I know he can, but can he do it now? He hasn't really played center since Bo Horvat's arrival in New York, right? Which is a very, very fair point to bring up. So let's dive into Matthew Barzal as a hockey player, as a New York Islander, as a potential center, as a right winger, as a guy to potentially suit up for his hometown Vancouver Canucks team if Vancouver decides to trade for the Brooklyn native. Now, quickly, right off the bat here, we have made a few videos talking about the Canucks and the Islanders before. We have alluded to Barzal, we talked about Dawson, we talked about Bo Horvat as a potential Canucks center trade target, and of course, the Bo Horvat has a lot more sentimentality behind it. Maybe some sentimentality and a dash of anger, because those, I'll tell you, that's the free comments that Bo Horvat made. But Matthew Barzal was an interesting one, because for me, when I think about Barzal, I think about the 2017-18 season, my senior year in high school, the year where I started to take videos on YouTube seriously and actually dive into making them every single day. In 2017-18, where I was balancing out college applications, the grade 12 senior year, where I was one of the only two people in my graduating class to get the principal's role, and also balancing out this YouTube channel, Matthew Barzal was battling it out with Brock Besser for the Calder Trophy. And it was an entire thing throughout the year. It was Barzal, Besser, and Clayton Keller all in that conversation. Besser had a really good chance, and I think if he did not get injured by Jake Virtanen losing to Bill Holton on the bench, and having Besser get reverse hit by Cal Clutterbuck into that open partition of the boards, If Brock Besser didn't get injured and just continued the rest of the season with the same goal and point pace that he had, I do think he would have won that Calder because Matthew Barzal had an 80-something point year with a secondary assistant merchant. Clayton Keller wasn't undefeated. He was just the third place guy in that conversation. But Barzal won the Calder over Brock Besser. And it was a really sad moment when Canucks fans saw Besser get sidelined for the remainder of that year and Barzal walked away with the dub. But now I'm thinking in 2025, it's like, hey, if Brock Besser leaves, could the Canucks get Matthew Barzal and get another Calder 2017-18 guy on their lineup? Of course, maybe that's just the last thing that certain people are thinking about when it comes to Barzal. I think that's a quick limitation is more strong there. But let's start to do this article on Canucks Army and read what Margini has as a scoop for Barzal. Firstly, talking about the opportunity. The Islanders, much like the Canucks, ended up 24-25 stuck in the fucking middle. Not dramatically close to back in the playoff spot, but not so far out as it's a really good job there. But the situation is different for New York than it is for Vancouver. So on the Island entered the season as one of the oldest teams in the league. And though it's changed a little due to some season selling off the veterans, they don't hold quite the same hopes of a drilling or swing as do the Canucks. That's led to some calling for a rebuild, or at least a retool. We don't know how likely it's interesting is to occur when the 82-year-old Blue Line is still in charge. He can be forgiven if he's in a future or exit at the moment. But Lamar will retire his trade, maybe within a split this offseason. And one way or another, change is coming for Long Island. This is why we have spoken about Bo, Dobson, now Barzal. He might not immediately stand out as a candidate to be traded, or the Islanders to make it look like what's going to be under. But always still just 27, with a small that made, that puts at least 3 years between one and the likes of 25-year-olds on the Dobson and Romano, and makes them considerably older than the team's top prospects, like the newly acquired Kevin Ritchie. So, for anyway, there is a scenario where the Islanders decide to really kickstart a youth movement while trading their top prime-age talent for a package of future-laden assets. You know, we do have to ask, is Barzal actually going to be a center if he gets traded to the Vancouver Canucks? Now, you know, again, he was a center with the Seattle Thunderbirds, and he was primarily a center for a good chunks of his time at the Islanders. I only say that because when he started out, he was on the power play with John Tavares, and he had 8 points. That was his career high. He also was in there too. So I don't know if really Barzal's role as a top-tier center is as clearly defined like his $9.15 million remaining salary until 2031 would imply. In order to be such a alumni, it was one of the fastest players in the league and was very skilled with just rolling around the zone and taking passes and making reads. It's just a question as to whether or not he can easily transition to being a quote-unquote top 2 or number 1 center right now. The thing with Vancouver is laid out here. We won't waste much time explaining why the Canucks will be interested in someone inside a possible 1 seed or a high-quality 2 seed. Heading into 25-26, the Canucks center depth consists of material. Interesting word choice there. Elias Pettersson, an injured Filipino, the sophomore Rossi, and good old Teddy Booker. The need for another top 6 center is obvious and apparent, and Patrick Dawson has already been known as his top off-season priority. Barzal has experienced fairly up and down career in the NHL thus far, including his current season in which he's been out of the lineup since February with an LBI. But it comes off the heels of a banner campaign in 2023-24 in which Barzal stayed healthy and put up a perfect 80 points in 80 games. That would have been a career high there for the 85 points in each time as a rookie. Whether than Reds here in the beat, suffice to say, Barzal's ability to produce skills and always has been more than adequate for an NHL second-line center. And at its best, he's well into 1 seed territory. And Barzal offers a lot more than a stat line. Right from the early between his career, he's developed a reputation as a smart and responsible duo center, and even received several votes as a rookie. His main weapon is his blazing straight-line speed, which combines with his agility and ability to stop on a dime and career one of the most elusive skaters in hockey. The appeal to the team constantly wishing to get faster, like Vancouver, is obvious enough. Now, the article does into the contract, and it talks about the trade cost too. Well, we don't really need to dive too much into that. I feel like the contract speaks for itself. $9.25 million a year in a rising cap environment. The very cost also is going to be interesting too, whether or not the Canucks shell out a first-round pick or something like that.
Ooh, shit.
They said here that the Canucks should really try not to include Elias Pettersson, not Elias Pettersson, the other to Jeremaki or Tom Bellonger, but at the same time, those are the kind of things that the Islanders should probably want. So, what is? Honestly, when I think about the assessment of what it costs, as much as I like what's in the film, like, no, we can't do that. We can't say that. The Jeremaki is the best replacement, right? I don't know. If the Canucks could finally pull it off without trading anything that doesn't just pieces or the roster players right now, if it's just prospects and picks outside of Bellonger, Pettersson, and Jeremaki, we'll see if it's actually possible. But ultimately, I want to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea of a Matthew Barzal trade in the Vancouver Canucks deal? You like it? Do you dislike it? Do you think it's even really worth thinking about? Is it possible the Islanders show out this kind of an asset? Or is it just wishful thinking? This article is going to be linked in the description if you want to go and read more about it yourself in your own time. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section about Matthew Barzal and the Vancouver Canucks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Close to 99. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, it's tough, man. Times like these, they're tough for the Montreal Canadiens and their fans. Because now, right now, the Montreal Canadiens playoff odds have dipped. Because the Philadelphia Flyers just got shut out in their final home game of the year. 3-0 to the Columbus Blue Jackets in front of a hometown crowd that, quite frankly, I feel they deserve better than that. Now, if we head over to moneypuck.com, because the Columbus Blue Jackets won this game in regulation, their playoff odds have jumped up 9.5%. 16.5 total percentage odds for the Blue Jackets to make the playoffs with the Flyers' victory today. And now, Montreal. Oh boy, Montreal. It's not looking all too great here. Earlier this morning, Montreal had a 93% chance odds to make the playoffs. CBJ had a 7% chance odds. Now that CBJ is at 16.5%, Montreal's total playoff odds are, 83.5%? Montreal's playoff odds dipped to 10% with the Columbus victory today. And now, there is a very real opportunity for Columbus to make the playoffs and for Montreal to lose. Percentages began 100%, 95%, 85%. Who cares? This is the verdict here. The Montreal Canadiens are playing off against the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow. If they lose in regulation, it opens the door for Columbus to squeak in there and overtake the last wild card spot. Both of these teams have one game left. Columbus can match Montreal's 89 points with a win if they defeat the New York Islanders on Thursday. And they need to do it in regulation because the first tiebreaker is regulation wins. Montreal and Columbus are tied in regulation wins here. So if Montreal loses to Carolina tomorrow in regulation, and Columbus beats New York, the Islanders, on Thursday in regulation too, then Montreal would stay at 89 points. The Blue Jackets would jump up to 89, tie the Montreal Canadiens, and then overtake them via regulation win tiebreaker, and thus sneak into the playoffs. 93%, 85%, who cares? If the Montreal Canadiens lose in regulation tomorrow to Carolina, then they're done. Okay, not done. Maybe there are literally 50-50, depending on the result of that Islanders and Columbus game, finishing in a Columbus regulation victory. Well, this is not looking good. The Montreal Canadiens have lost so many games in a row. They're starting to falter a little bit. They're starting to stumble at the end here. They lost to Chicago in an embarrassing fashion after blowing a 2-goal lead tonight at Denny Dog's debut with multiple points. And now, Philadelphia could not tell about Montreal this morning. You know, we made a video earlier this morning talking about how Ross Rickemore is helping out Montreal because they are calling up guys and they're sitting a lot of their veteran guys for tomorrow's game. That's great. Montreal, Carolina tomorrow, the Hurricanes don't care about tomorrow's matchup. They're trying to rest their guys. They want to see these players hit better. They're going to play King Gospels there, but they're going to play Constantinians because those guys are coming out of injury. They need to get their feet back under them. But you know who else is going to be playing for the Carolina Hurricanes later tomorrow? Probably Skyler Brindamore and Bradley McDowell. Dominic Vinsori, Ryan Stillman, all potential options for Carolina tomorrow. I'll tell you this, Montreal, if Ryan Stillman ends up playing an NHL game on the last game of the season in Carolina, the Canadiens have a very easy opportunity to play tomorrow's game. Ryan Stillman sucks. And I'm usually not as blunt in talking about players and whether or not they're good or bad or whatever that way. I usually just don't come out strictly and say, yeah, gobsmackingly gumball terrible. And that guy on defense was forced to be a lot more sporty than he otherwise would have been due to some injuries to Vancouver Canucks demon. Stillman sucks, dude. He was so bad. And if that guy is a Carolina Hurricane in the roster tomorrow against Montreal, then the Habs better find a way to win. Get a point. Send the game to overtime. You can lose if it goes to overtime. You'll get 90 points and you'll be out of reach from Columbus. But Skyler Brindamore could make his NHL debut. Dominic Vinsori, I love Dominic Vinsori. He's a great young prospect. He's like in that same Quinn Hughes, Lena Hudson type of mold. I've always been a fan of Vinsori. But please, smoke that guy tomorrow. Montreal, find a way to victory here. If the Habs end up losing to a much more depleted Carolina Hurricanes team, then maybe they don't even deserve to make the gosh darn Stanley Cup playoffs. You ever thought about that? Like,
These are all AI voices, and I'm thinking for entertainment purposes. If you think I'm playing a video game that puts political views in my head, then I really need to reevaluate my life. But viewer discretion is advised. Thank you for watching. Welcome to episode. Wow, 3 weeks in a row.
not even 30 seconds in and he's already complaining.
Because I want to play something new, Dan. I thought you didn't want to play these new games and that we had enough games we were currently playing. No, like, I wanted to play something else and something we haven't played. Well, something is. No, are you guys even listening? Say what you want to say and let the words fall out. I am saying what I want to say, shithead. You guys just struggle with basic comprehension. So I think you just struggle with basic comprehension. I want to play something else. It's something we haven't played in a while.
Oh, well, why didn't you just say that?
I did. So you said something to me. Whatever. Impossible to win an argument against a bunch of idiots. So we okay. No, I dozed off. We're playing something. We're calling off. All right, the only teammate pairing that we have just to do this year are Donald and I. This is definitely right on. Going down a little bit.
We're on a team now.
I'm picking the team. You know, I was picking the team after suffering because of what?
Now you know how every American feels.
And it's all because of Walgreens. What? I don't know, Barry. There's growing states, Washington, American, Blue Still, Walgreens, who lost the region, man? Play something else. Actually, wait a minute. Who just played? We are playing something else. This is what people voted for us to discuss. You reach elections, you're ahead. We haven't played it yet? Including from last year?
No, and I'm not going back through every bad figure to find out.
Yeah, God forbid you put effort into something.
Excuse me?
What about the record? They're called the Cardinals, dumbass.
No, technically he's right. That is their nickname.
Yeah, you don't, but the team that drafted Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray was drafted by the Athletics.
But the Athletics are a baseball team. And that's the right. We will be the Cardinals. Oh, we wanted to be the Cardinals. That's the Cardinals. So, whatever.
Daddy Bear looking out for his son once again. You guys could be the Reds. Nice rivalry matchup.
We've already played as the Reds in one of our videos.
Does it matter?
People believe, asking me to believe in those votes. That's pretty big ass. Coming from the conservative criminal himself.
Dance through the game. This is way more entertaining.
Enough. You're the one stupid. We're all waiting on you. I'm waiting on you to give me a feedback. I don't care. Oh my God, Barry, pick a team. Football, all right? Move it to this. Hey, can I make a trip to arena we play in?
Well, for starters, it's called a stadium, not an arena.
Well, for starters, your mom is your mom. Hold on. Hold on. Are you there? Actually, I don't know if you're going to six wins play. So, you know what? Go boys, go. The winning on these teams to make this town show. Just don't go.
Well, we aren't playing at a damn minor league field, Joe.
Good job. You lost the privilege.
Are we just going to ignore what Joe said, or?
Yes, we are. Solid. Just let me pick. They'll stick to the major league fields. Fine. Hey, how about Walgreens Park?
National Park works for me.
Stay here. Donald, it's been almost 4 minutes and we still aren't loaded with this game. Because we are waiting on you to answer.
Yeah, I don't care. You know what? Pretty sure one of us has played at some Brewers.
Oh no. Gotta start over. That's such a headache, though. It's probably just play proper, the PGA, instead. If it will not be the one of those games again, I will make sure it's doesn't sound like much of a threat, considering you haven't played either in how long?
I'll play first, Joe.
Same here, I'm sure Donald would rather go up against Joe. Wait a minute, these are not the Cardinals.
Yes, it is, Joe.
Where is Kyle Murray? Kyle? The Lord Murray doesn't play baseball? Yeah, I gathered that. This isn't football? No. It's racing up. And, you know, I don't care what it is, because here it gets smarter and smarter every day.
Dang it.
1, 2, 3, go to Cardinals. Now let's get you to the introduction at the play. Still waiting for someone to tell me where Kyler Murray is. Donald, did you touch the lineup?
Of course I did. You're getting such a creative.
Okay, well, so here because yeah, this guy's going to be bad to go.
I put speed at lead. You know why? Because that's how a lineup should be. Well, it doesn't go good to
Oh, yeah, Sam Fleckle. I do remember that. By just finished about the birds.
Oh, the guy that just freaking threw it off of the muscle and RBI double? I mean, his current attributes certainly don't warrant him being in the 3